What's up, you guys? Cruise67 here. I know it's been a very, 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 very long time since I've uploaded a video, and I'm really, really sorry about that. Um, Honestly, I've just been caught up in school and making sure I'm going to my classes on time and making sure all my assignments are here and going to extracurriculars and doing stuff like that. I'm very into that kind of stuff. So that's what I've been doing. And I'm sorry I haven't been uploading a lot of videos lately. Lately, meaning the last like 3 months or so. But I really do want to get back on it, and I wanted to get right back into it with a new discussion on the April 1st ban list, which came out last night, or I think it was last night, but everyone's looking at it today because I mean it is March, 20th today. So if you checked out the list, you know what I'm talking about. But I'm just gonna go over it, seeing as though giving my comments on it and stuff like that, making sure that people know what this ban list is. So let's get right into it and talk about the banned cards. And I'm just gonna say, this ban list really surprised me in the way that it's really, really, really boring. like I was expecting so much more. But I mean, at the same time, out of a 3-month format, what did you expect? They weren't going to make that many changes. But anyways, so let's get right into it. And the first two, and the only two cards to be banned are the Morphing Jar brothers over here, Morphing Jar and Morphing Jar number 2. Now, I had no idea what Morphing Jar number 2 actually did until I read the card. uh, so basically, it's also a flip effect like Morphing Jar number 1. And for all those who don't know, I'm just going to read it because even I have trouble understanding it. So basically, once it's flipped, you return all monsters on the field to their respective decks and shuffle them into the deck. Then you pick up cards from the top of your deck until you have the same number of monsters that you shuffled back into your deck, and then you special summon all the level 4 lower ones in face down defense position onto the field. And all the rest of the cards that you picked up go to the graveyard. Now, it's a very weird playstyle. For interesting, I have no idea in what kind of deck this would be played in, except in maybe a Morphing Jar deck, where you would just get rid of all your cards and then summon your Morphing Jar and then just deck out your opponent, or like maybe an Exodia deck. I'm imagining, because it's like, the way I see it, it's kind of like what's it called? Magical Merchant, in the way that you pick up cards until you get like something, and then all the rest of them go to the graveyard. Except like Magical Merchant actually excavates, which is pretty cool in Sylvans. Just saying. So I have no idea why Morphing Jar number 2 was banned, but Morphing Jar number 1 I can understand because I mean, it's a pretty trollsy card. Like, you just said it, and essentially you get to recycle your entire hand. If you drew a bad hand, you drew Morphing Jar. Oh, look at that! Let me just set this and get back and get a completely new hand basically for free. And this thing was the nuts in Dark World. Like, if you played this in Dark World and you opened up Morphing Jar plus all kinds of monsters without a discard outlet, this was basically your instant discard outlet. Like, I'm pretty sure if you resolve the Morphing Jar at that point, you would just win. Like, because you would just get so much advantage. Like, assuming you had, like, your standard Brow plus Snow plus Graphos, you'd be able to pop something on the field, get like gates or get dealings, and draw another card. And like, let's say if you had like a silver or a gold, you get to special summon that shit. And it's not even during the damage step, because like it's when it's flipped face up, right? So actually, it would be during the damage step. So I'm not actually sure that they would get their effects, but that's besides the point. And also, Morphing Jar, I'm pretty sure why Morphing Jar was banned was because of this stupid card right here, which is Jackpot 7. Um, I'm sure that you guys have seen this card or heard about this card. It's been on Dev Pro for a while, and people have been uploading a bunch of different videos on like basically how to get Jackpot 7. Jackpot 7, if you don't know what it is, it's basically another win condition card. So what it does is, like, if you activate it, it basically shuffles itself back into the deck. But if it's discarded, it's sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card effect. It gets banished, and then if you have 3 of them banished by this effect, you win the duel. So a lot of people have been making decks to get your opponent to do this, which is basically like creature swap either Dark Scorpion Burglars or Morphing Jar for that instance. Like, if you get all 3 of your you get all 3 of your Jackpot 7s in your hand, you have a Morphing Jar set face down, you creature swap it for your opponent's monster. Your opponent activates it. It doesn't even matter if your opponent activates it. Like, you could attack into it, and because it's on your opponent's side of the field, the Morphing Jar would activate as your opponent's card effect. So you would essentially just win the duel. So I can understand why our little friend Morphing Jar over here got banned. Unfortunately, Morphing Jar number 2, I have no idea. Maybe it goes also with the whole Jackpot 7 aspect, but shippa. I really don't know. So onto the limited cards. Limited cards is like basically the most interesting part of this ban list. And the first card to be put to 1 is Coach Soldier Wolfbark. Now here, clearly, this is enthusiastic. I have the OCG when it first came out type of thing. The thing. So Coach Soldier Wolfbark. Okay, it's a really great card in Fire Fist. I will admit that, and it's pretty good in Fire Kings. But honestly, if you were running 3 Wolfbark in Fire Fists, you weren't doing so well. Like, I personally when I play Fire Fist, I would play like 2 of these. So putting it down to 1 isn't that big of a deal. And also, lately, Fire Fists have been compensating for the fact that, like, they don't use Wolfbark by playing Call of the Haunted. Call of the Haunted is essentially a slower form of Wolfbark, and sure, Wolfbark is searchable by Tenki, but Call of the Haunted essentially does the same job as Wolfbark. And even with the one Wolfbark, if you're playing Call of the Haunted, you could recycle your Wolfbarks. Like, you could Call of the Haunted, bring back Wolfbark. Wolfbark's effect, bring back that. Sure, it makes it more susceptible to things like Max C, which Fire Fist ordinarily wouldn't be susceptible because of Tensu and because of the low monster count it has. But honestly, putting Wolfbark to 1 is not that big of a hit for Fire Fist. What they should have done, in my opinion, is put Tenki back down to 1. Tenki at 3 is fucking stupid. Like, not only does it help Fire Fist search everything in their deck, it also helps Bujins search the basic cards that they need to friggin' work. Like, you have Bujins without Yamato or any other Beast Warrior type Bujin, you're kind of screwed. So the versatility of Tenki makes it so that it needs to go down. Like, it can be played in a whole bunch of stuff. You can play it in friggin' windups and search your stupid and search stupid. I love my rabbit. And search wind up rabbit. So in my opinion, the next ban list, Tenki really needs to go, at least not to go, but like at least put to 1 because it's way too versatile. But Wolfbark going to 1, meh. Okay, so you're slowing down Fire Fist just a tiny bit. You can compensate by that by using Call of the Haunted and maybe upping your Tensus so that you get more normal summons in there, which essentially compensates for not having that play with Wolfbark. But yeah, alrighty. So the next card that is limited is Mermail Abyssgund. And I actually think this is pretty cool, although I do think that Sphere would have been a better thing to hit, just because Sphere is insane. But I can see what they're going from here. Gund allowed a lot of very powerful plays by, like, if you discarded it by an TS or a Megalo effect, you could get back a lead or another TS or another Megalo, and essentially it made your rank 4 and rank 7 plays a lot easier. It really sped up the deck. So Gun being put to 1, it slows down the deck a little bit in the way that they're not going to be making rank 7s all that much. You're not going to be seeing a lot of Drago sacks in Mermails anymore, or going for rank 4s with Pike. So essentially, like, if they couldn't go for Bahamut Shark that often, then Bahamut Shark into something else. But really, it doesn't slow down the deck all that much. The deck is still fantastic. Both Mermails and Fire Fists are still going to be fantastic decks next format. Decidedly. Honestly, Sphere should have gone to 1, or maybe Abyss TS, because TS is friggin' fantastic. But that's really all I have to say about Abyssgund, because, Mermails, right? The next card to go is Rekindling, and this goes with the same theory as Fire Fist. Actually, let's talk about Rekindling as a card. Rekindling as a card is fucking stupid. Like, you get to bring back all of your fire monsters with 200 defense. Doesn't even matter that at the end phase they get banished, because you're going to be synchro summoning or Xyz summoning with them anyways, so big deal. This was mostly seen in, like, back in 2009, this was really broken in Flameville Cat, which was a fantastic deck, broken as fuck. And you also saw this in Laval Quasar decks, and you're not going to be seeing those decks anymore unless, like, they Gold Sark for Rekindling. Basically, that it means that they're only going to be able to Quasar you once. you go for those big pushes once. I mean, and technically that's really all you need, because the minute hits the field, it's like, have fun trying to get over that. But lately, Rekindling has been seeing a lot of play in um, 3-axis Fire Fist, because all of them have 200 defense. So, like, you could think you'd be playing a 3-axis Fire Fist deck, and you'd think you're in a winning position. They just top deck the Rekindling. It's like, oh, look at this! I'm back in the game all of a sudden. So, I'm glad that Rekindling got hit. It was a really stupid card. I have a friend who plays Laval Quasar, and he's going to be so upset about this, but I don't really care. So, because his deck was stupid. So, I'm very happy Rekindling got hit. And finally, the last card to get hit on this ban list, on the limited list, was Infernity Barrier. Now, I have mixed feelings about this, because I like Infernity as a deck. I like their playstyle. Like, you don't have to have any cards in your hand in order to activate their effects, which is pretty cool. And I played Infernities back when they were in the Synchro variant, where you can get like Trish and Mistworm and big ass monsters like that, or have an entire field of like Void Over Dragon plus Stardust plus something else, and plus an Archfiend with like double barrier, and your opponent just couldn't get over it. But at the same time, facing an Infernity player who's going first, and who sets up like the Valval Chain, top deck Archfiend, to top deck Archfiend, or if they just get like somehow they're able to special summon their Archfiend first turn, and they get this huge ass field plus triple barrier or double barrier plus a break on field, and you have no way of coming back from that, is kind of difficult. So, by no stretch of the imagination do I think that Infernities are a bad deck now that Barrier is at 1. You can Infernity players can compensate for that by playing other negation effects like 7 tools, or just playing more traps in general, because I mean, sure, Barrier is a spell speed 3 that really helped, but you can play other cards to compensate for that. And maybe people are going to playing more Infernity Breaks, because Break is also a very good disruption card. Sure, it's not a counter trap, but it's still a fantastic card, and I think Infernities are still good because they can still set up a great field and still be able to push for a lot of damage with that. So I'm running out of time, so I'm going to speed this up a little bit. As for the semi-limited cards, Necroface, I have no idea. This is totally random. Like, who's going to play Necroface? Necroface is only good in remove from play decks, and let's think about it. Defissure, Macro, both at 1. This is going to be weird. Why? Like, and just look at this thing. Look at how fucking creepy it is. It is the creepiest shit ever. I'm sorry, it's fucked up. But I don't really see anybody playing this, and I don't understand why it's at 2. And Hieratic Seal of Convocation, also at 2. I don't understand why they don't just ban all the Dragon Rulers, and then so that all these other dragon-based decks can do well, instead of having all their shit done. I mean, look, this is a trend. Dragon Rulers are played Dragon Rulers are played in Dragoonities. They were using Dragoonity cards. Boom, Dragoonities got hit by, like, are basically unplayable anymore because they hit Ravine, and now they're hitting Hieratic Seal of Convocation because they're getting played with Heretics. Just ban the fucking Dragon Rulers, and this shit won't happen anymore. Honestly. But as far as the deck goes, having 2 Convocations doesn't hurt at all. Like, the deck is still fairly consistent. And if you're playing like level 2, if you're playing small tuners, you can play cards with consonants, which isn't that big of a downside. You can draw into your stuff. Having 2 Convocation doesn't really hurt the deck whatsoever. I'm sorry. Like, this is stupid. And finally, for the unlimited cards, we have the underwhelming Magical Stone Excavation, which no one plays. A, except in Exodia, and B, because we don't have that many great spell cards to reuse, and who's going to discard two cards to get back a spell that isn't even that great? And finally, Primal Seed. This is hilarious. I think Primal Seed is a really shit-tastic card, because you only have 1 copy of BLS. You're going to run 3 Primal Seed in the hopes that you summon your BLS and add back 2 of your remove from play monsters. That's stupid. On the other hand, there is a Primal Seed loop that, if you pull it off, enables you to either gain infinite life points or infinitely like burn your opponent or something like that. There's some crazy loop with Primal Seed, but you need BLS to use Primal Seed, and since you only have 1 BLS, this is somewhat difficult unless you're playing like BLS Army Arm, where you have stuff to just mill your entire deck. Check out Asian Eyes' White Dragon channel for that, because I'm pretty sure he's going to come up with something fantastic for that. So all in all, guys, thank you for watching. I think the list is completely underwhelming, but I hope you guys enjoy it. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. More videos will be coming up soon. Don't even worry about it, guys. All right. Ciao.